Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. Happy Friday, 3:30 Eastern. Good time to end the week. Thanks for joining us. Good time to end the week. We don't really have a choice. There it ends. So we might as well do a podcast while it ends. Really nothing to be done in that matter. I'm Adam Weinrib. Robert Murray, FanSided MLB Insiders, off for the day. He's at the NFL draft. If you have NFL draft questions, please bug him and ping him repeatedly. He loves it when people bother him. But in the meantime, filling that gap is FanSided MLB staff writer Emma Lingan. Emma, thank you for joining. Appreciate the hustle. We had something fun planned here to maybe get some more FanSided MLB staff writer voices on the show. Our own Katie Manganelli and Katrina Stebbins. We want them on this show. It's going to be a great time when we get them on this show. So the next time you see Emma could be part of this super fun, like 4-person panel, and we hope you really enjoy it. But Emma, really appreciate you coming on today, and we've got a great show.
Yeah, happy to be here. But yeah, as you said, instead of fun, it's just me. So there's going to be no fun because we're not doing the 4-person show.
Yeah, before we hopped on, I was like, Emma, is it cool if we take every fun thing we had planned and just scrap it and make the show boring and bad? And you didn't really push back on that. You were just like, I think that would be a good idea.
Totally on board. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. So this show is going to be good, but maybe not fun. And so if you know, we're going to have a great time. The goal is to inject a little joy into the Friday, maybe even stop the week from ending, a power that I don't know if we have, but you never know. Depending on how good the show is, the week just may continue into the weekend. You can join us every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3:30 Eastern on Monday, and Friday, 1 o'clock on Wednesday. Tuesday afternoon at noon for the Prospect Show with Eric Cole and I talking about the minor leagues, having prospect writers and players and guests on as well. That is always a good time. Subscribe to the Moonshot if you have not. That is our weekly baseball email newsletter where the FanSided MLB team, including Robert Murray and myself, will break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, behind-the-scenes info. You can also find our writing from Eric, myself, Robert, Emma, Katrina, Katie on the Baseball Insiders feed on fansided.com. That's fansided.com/baseball-insiders for the latest rumors and notes from Robert, humor and insight from yours truly, and some great pop culture roundtables from the whole crew. So please join us there. If you are not in the Discord, hit the join button below this video. You can get in there by just joining either the Rumor Mill tier or the All-Star tier. Private Q&A with Robert at 3 o'clock on Thursdays, and a lot of fun back and forth during the week regardless. Thank you, everybody who's in there. I know some insiders, Discord members usually pop into the comments. We will answer your questions if you got them as well as the show goes on. But enough housekeeping. Emma, it's good to have you back. Let's just start off by talking about the week in MLB. Couple fun series this week. The Phillies went to Citi Field and got semi-dominated. Which storyline caught your attention the most this week?
Well, I've got to stick with the Mets. I think the fact that, they were obviously the big story of the offseason. Juan Soto, belle of the ball, signs this massive contract and, he's going to be the guy for the Mets. Right now, Juan Soto's batting 225, something like that. Like, he's been very pedestrian. Meanwhile, the guy that they almost didn't sign or were in this standoff with forever because they signed Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, is the guy for the Mets. He's been really kind of carrying their offense while Soto kind of struggles to find his footing, I guess. The Mets, of course, they're the best team in the league right now by record. And it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, he's through 25 games. I think Alonso's got 6 home runs, 26 RBI, something like that. Again, for those who don't know, I'm a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, so I've never seen numbers like that before, ever.
And it's very nice of you to volunteer that, because you expressly forbid us from talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates on this podcast. So you did it, and now it's there. But yeah, you broke your own rule.
Well, I did it to poke fun at the Pirates, so that's always allowed.
Yeah. Okay, good. Alonso, if you are Juan Soto and you're looking for protection, the guy you just left in Aaron Judge and the guy you currently have in Pete Alonso are probably your number 1 and 2 options for protection in all of Major League Baseball right now. And Alonso, people think of as just a burly slugger, and they're right, because that is what he is. But also, he's at 1.8 B-WAR right now. He's got a 217 OPS plus. The power's been there. He's hitting 340. Aaron Judge is in the 400s. Soto has not been himself. He's still been an above average offensive player. But it's hard to disagree that the Mets would be in a less enviable position without the guy who they sort of nickel and dimed this offseason and then eventually came to a short-term agreement on with, and they're going to have to maybe pay him again this upcoming offseason, because if I were Pete Alonso and I continue doing this, I would not stay for that amount of money.
No, nor should you. And I think that I'm all for the pettiness when it comes to this stuff. So I love that he is having this kind of year, because I mean, not that I'm necessarily a Pete Alonso fan. I don't really have any feelings about him in particular, but I love just, being like, hey, you tried to, like you said, nickel and dime me, or you kind of left me twisting there for a while. And now I'm about to cost you a ton of money if you want to keep me.
The Mets kind of tried to Bob Nutting him a little bit, for even though there's Steve Cohen for whatever reason. And payback. It's ruthless. Although I don't think any Mets fan watching the team right now is thinking about Pete Alonso's offseason, or at least they shouldn't be, because that team does have the best record in baseball. I want to shout out the Chicago Cubs for dismantling the Dodgers in sort of a roller coaster series where I can't get a handle on the Cubs yet. I obviously think, they have proven that they are offensively relentless. They have proven that they are probably the highest ceiling team in the NL Central. Does that mean they're going to win it? I don't know until, look, expected win-loss, run differential, all that stuff indicates, yes, they are the class of that division, and there's sort of a cluster at the top of potential playoff teams. But they do feel destined to torture their fans this year with the up and down nature of 7 runs may not be enough, and we have faith in them to punch back if they need to, but we wish they didn't have to punch back every single game. Like, we wish they weren't always surrendering a 4-run lead so that we could watch them salvage it in the bottom of the 8th on a Pete Crow Armstrong triple. I sort of went through this with the Yankees last year, where they won 94 games. They went to the World Series, and I don't know if I enjoyed a single second of it, because I knew that every loss, there weren't going to be that many losses, but the ones that did occur would either be meltdown mode or, torturous offensive experiences. And the Cubs seem to be sort of on the flip side of that, where it's either going to be this pitching disaster or a meltdown or a rousing victory. And they're going to, hopefully, for Cubs fans' sake, collect enough of those to win the Central. They have faced the Dodgers, I believe, 34 times already. They had to go to Japan and face the Dodgers. They get to go to LA and face the Dodgers. They had to go to Wrigley and do it. They're done with that. Their schedule has been impossible so far. It's hard not to be impressed by what they've done and what they did this week, but they are going to be a very unique watch experience for the people who live and die by those games, because you're going to be dying on some wins. Like, I've been there. You're going to win some games and go, that did not feel like a win. I will take it, and I'm going to go do something else.
Well, first of all, again, Pirates fan, you have wins, period. I have zero sympathy for you. I don't care if you have to suffer to get it. I mean, at least you get it. But yeah, the Cubs are, I mean, you do have to kind of hand it to them, because they're in a division that we've talked about before is so easily winnable. Like, it's like no one wants to win the NL Central. And it's like no one's even trying. The Brewers just won it the last few years because it's like just sort of process of elimination by default. They were the ones who like sort of tried. And then this past offseason, I remember last year at the trade deadline, everyone was mad at the Cubs because it's like, what are you doing? Because they came out and said, we're not going to do anything at the trade deadline, basically. And everyone was mad. Like, what are you doing? Why aren't, like, it's the NL Central. You should be out wheeling and dealing. And they said, they're like, just wait. Like, this is not our year. They essentially did what a lot of teams won't do just because it's bad PR. And they came out and said, yeah, we're punting on this year and we're going to try again next year, which is like, honestly, good for them, saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
And I think that now, of course, they go out and they get Kyle Tucker, and he's been great. And they end up, having a really good start to the season. And it's like kind of annoying for me, only because I think that, the Cubs were more enjoyable for me when they were the lovable losers, and now they're actually winning. And I mean, it's still early, but again, you got to hand it to them for basically doing the bare minimum and actually, trying to make their team better in a division where no one seems to want to do that.
Yeah. People in that division have their plans. They rarely deviate from their plans. And sometimes their plans result in Kyle Tucker showing up one offseason and sort of changing the calculus. I do think the Cubs are the class of that division. And I do think that they showed that this week. I'm not discounting anybody else. And I will get to another NL Central team in a bit. But I do think the Cubs fans should hang their hat on this week, even if they know maybe some more scary torture is around the corner. Now, specific player level, showed love to Alonso and the Mets. Is there any other MLB players, hot or cold streak, that piqued your attention this week?
Yes, and I have to preface this by saying that, this one goes out to Katrina if she's listening. She was supposed to join us today. Hopefully we can get her on at some other point and she can make her public apology to Zach McKinstry with the Tigers. I mean, never in a million years would we have thought that we'd be sitting here saying, where would the Tigers be without Zach McKinstry, of all people? I mean, he was the guy that he was just he was looking like going into spring training. He was kind of like dead weight on this roster. He was out of options, so they can't do anything with him. And like really the only thing that seemed to be saving his spot or his one redeeming quality was that, well, he can play third. And after the Tigers lost out on Bregman, and then Jace Young had a horrible spring training, and then Matt Vierling got injured, it was like, well, he's a body and he can play third. So that was kind of it. But not only has he done that, I mean, the Tigers have had tons of injuries in their outfield as well. McKinstry's been popping around all over. He's been at third. He's been in the outfield. He's been doing everything, but he's also been hitting. This is a career 2020 or what is it, 226 hitter, I think. And he's hitting 311 right now. His on base percentage is ridiculous. I mean, I think that it is just a great story for him, in a season when everyone is looking at, and deservedly so, Casey Mize, Spencer Torkelson, those former first rounders for the Tigers who are finally, kind of coming into their own at the same time. And they definitely deserve their flowers as well, because they've been unreal. And, kudos to the Tigers for being patient with them, because it seems to be paying off now. But, those utility guys like Zach McKinstry don't usually get that kind of love. He definitely deserves it. Now, do I think he's going to stay this hot forever? Of course not. But I mean, well,
I thought we
Adam
definitely
does.
agreed he for sure was. Yeah.
Adam does. Yeah, no fun. We're not allowed to have fun.
Yeah, this is a whole podcast.
Yeah, this is very serious. I think that Zach McKinstry is going to be terrible now. No, but I think that he has really blossomed into more than, just he's a warm body, to put it third. And he's actually been, like I said, kind of a savior for the Tigers this year.
Yeah, he is. I just did a very scientific experiment. Not even the first MLB player who shows up when you Google Zach Mick. Zach McAllister still has the SEO strength above Zach McKinstry, who's an active player, again, hitting over 300 for a first place team. So, yeah, I mean, McKinstry has almost equaled his career high WAR in less than a month, just about a month, considering the late March start. 1.3 in 2023. He's at 1.2 right now. You know me, I'm a sucker for these like early all-star cases where, from as a kid, I used to look at guys who were dominating like 3 weeks into the regular season and pencil them in as first-time all-stars. And then I would like check back in May and be like bummed when somebody was reverting to their career norms instead of being insane. And then you'd get to All-Star selection show and I would be like, how could they not, carry McKinstry? And then I'd look at the stats, like Randall Simon, like popped off the first week. And I'd look at the numbers and he's been hitting 196 for several months. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess, you can't make the All-Star team in April, but McKinstry is definitely somebody I'm watching in that vein this year. I'm going to be the sad downer. Again, if this podcast is no fun, then call me Miles Davis or whatever that is. Anthony Volpe's cold streak is the one that caught my eye this week because we are 2.5 years into Anthony Volpe's MLB career, with the New York Yankees. And I do think that he is a strong player and he is a good defender and he is a WAR accruer, but he will not peak in fans' eyes until he finds consistency on offense. And last year, his first year, rookie year, went 2020, and everybody was like, that was great, but the at-bats in between weren't so great. Let's try to work on maybe some, reduction of that power and increase his gap-to-gap strength and find the contact skills. And he got worse. And so then everyone was like, oh, we got to go back to he's a power hitter. Like, he's got to be seeking power. Otherwise, he's not doing what he does best. He had a great playoffs. He showed up this year with a torpedo bat and had an incredible first week and a half. And then the Yankees universe was like, we did it. We found it. He's pairing defense with offense now and back under 200 and 0 for 5 yesterday with 4 strikeouts in a game where the Yankees did win. And in a game where he's sort of now back into that familiar mode of 92 center cut is too fast for him for whatever reason. When he's off, he's off. And I think we just need to get to a place as Yankee fans where we either accept that this is the Anthony Volpe that we have, or we try a fourth solution, because this cold snap in this last week especially really illuminated for me that it's not just time to maybe think about having a conversation. We're probably past that point, and it's more of the same.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about this before the show, but Anthony Volpe, very likable guy, but
very likable guy,
just not good. You want him to be good. Like, not just if you're a Yankees fan. I mean, you're like, well, he seems like a nice kid, and you just really want him to be good. And he just, like you said, 2.5 years in, it is kind of like, all right, this might be it. This might be his ceiling, and that is not a good thing.
Yeah. The valuable player to an extent. The defense has been better than expected at short. Nobody's talking about moving him to second, but extension, I mean, not for me, I don't think. I mean, well, again, I'll give it to the end of the year. I'll be so patient, and if I can get a playoff run like last year, then yeah, I'll be happy. But right now, I think you're definitely firmly in the territory where your boots are stuck in the mud a little bit. And it's like, I think this might be the guy who's on my team, and you just have to move on knowing that. He has annoyed me for sure. I wish he hadn't, but he has. Who is, in your mind, the most annoying team in Major League Baseball so far this year? Obviously, annoying has many definitions, although you and I agree the Pirates are annoying. But in your interpretation of the question, what is the MLB team that has annoyed you most this season?
Yeah, it should come with an asterisk, like besides the Pirates, who are just eternally annoying.
And for me, like, I'm not going to say the Red Sox because they bother me every single day, whether they're good or bad. So they don't count here.
So I'm going to take a slightly different interpretation of the word annoying, and I'm going to say the Padres have been the most annoying team. First of all, shout out to the person in the comments who brought up Gavin Sheets, Wake Forest alum, go Deeks, but he has stepped into a really big role, a really important role for them, but it's because they don't have Jackson Merrill now, that he's injured. They've been dealing with a lot of different injuries, and I just go back to in the off season, they did nothing. They sat back and they watched the Dodgers just spend and spend and spend. And they sat back and did nothing. I mean, I remember writing about when they signed, like, their answer for, we need a catcher. Let's sign Martin Maldonado, who's like 85 years old. It's like, really, this is the best we can do? Are you even trying to compete with the Dodgers? And then here they are now. After an offseason like that, with the injuries that they have too, it's like, you have no business being at the top of the NL West. And yet there they are. And honestly, a lot of it is because Tatis has decided to play like an all-star again. And again, good for him, I guess, but I don't know. It's just kind of annoying because it's like you want to see like more competition, because I think that was the concern about, well, everyone's just going to sit back and be like, well, we can't compete with the Dodgers, so why try? And the Padres did that, and yet they're still winning. So that's annoying.
If I were a Dodgers fan and they were in my division, and like, this for me is textbook annoying, and it's happened to me with the Red Sox for my entire life. Like, you splash on the big money stars. Your rival does not at all and starts picking up Nick Pivetta and whoever's left. And then you get to mid-May and you see your rival fans tweeting the stat comparison because they have a rough equivalent to your superstar on their team, but it's a random guy. That is one of the most annoying things that can happen to a baseball fan. If you are in the catbird seat, like if you are one of the spending teams, to see the Padres be able to tweet Gavin Sheets comparisons with Shohei Ohtani and come out on top largely would chat me if I were a Dodgers fan. I am going to pivot to the Cincinnati Reds here, and a slightly different definition of annoying, because like we agreed that the NL Central is eminently winnable. And I thought the Reds took a great step forward this offseason by bringing in Terry Francona. Air of professionalism, gravitas, the voice they need to get this young team with Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McLain. And we just agreed in 2023 that they were overstuffed with young talent, and like pretty close to, okay, maybe in 2024 they congeal a little bit, and in 2025 they take that step forward, and then they're division champs, and then they're more than that. And right now they look almost exactly like they did in the nascent days of these guys getting called up. Ellie De La Cruz is still a maniac, but he isn't really as reined in as you'd want him to be. Does he contribute to winning baseball every day? Not every day, right? Many days, but not all. He's a spectacular player. The side, components like the Matt McLains of the world and the Christian Encarnacion Strands of the world have not developed at the same pace. So that bothers me. They're hanging out at 500. They have an absurd run differential of plus 31 right now because they beat the Orioles 24-2. So that's not even really worth calibrating in terms of like, they should be better. I mean, anybody, that's one of the most, we're going to look at that as one of the biggest outlier events of the whole year when the season ends. We're not going to know what to do with that. But for my money, this should be the year that they are far better than a 500 team, certainly not below it. The bullpen is not up to par. The development process has stalled. And there are so many names, like Noelvi Marte by now, I thought would be a star, not just a PED suspended guy who kind of kicks in and helps sometimes, but not often. So the Reds have no excuse to be where they are right now, given the leadership, given the talent, and they're just fine. So that's annoying to me. If I were a Padres rival, I would be extremely annoyed by everything you laid out. But right now, just sort of watching, I'm annoyed by teams that can't hit their ceilings, and I'm bothered that the Reds are just stuck where they are.
Yeah, and Hunter Green too. I mean, when you got a guy like that, I mean, this is like shades of the Pirates and Paul Skeens. It's like you have one of the best pitchers in baseball right now, and you're not putting together, you're not putting together consistent, not even just wins, but strong, commanding performances, like good wins, like you said, the Orioles, but okay, it's the Orioles. I just think that the Reds too, I agree, they should be better than where they're at right now. And yeah, if I was a Reds fan, I'd be very annoyed.
They do have the Rockies this weekend. They have a chance to be over 500 with just a sweep of a team that is 4-20 and might be worse than the Chicago White Sox, and probably is worse than the Chicago White Sox. 4-20. So we might be having a different conversation about the Reds next week, but Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, the Brady Singer move worked. Like, why isn't this team better? Why is this a 500 team led by someone who is in the running to be the face of baseball in Ellie De La Cruz? And if you ask me to draft a manager from scratch, if I need what the Reds need, Terry Francona might be my number one choice, and not seeing it so far. So that bothers me. Let's close it out with a rant. A final thought from each of us. Emma and I are both bothered by something this week, something outside the game, something that probably shouldn't have made us as mad as both of these things did, but they sure did. And we're going to go off for a couple seconds. Emma, I'm going to give the floor to you. What bothered you this week?
Okay, I know we joked at the beginning about, like we're not going to have fun today, but like this rant is really going to make me sound like the fun police because it just, I don't know. I don't know why it bothered me so much. But when did these in-game gender reveals become a thing? Because there wasn't a thing before, and then all of a sudden now we've got two. We had Trey Turner with Bryce Harper, and then we had Stephen Kwan with David Fry, who was at home watching the game, like not even playing. And it's like, and it's whether it's the, the bat or the whatever it was, the color of the bat or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe this is just the millennial female in me that I'm just sick of seeing gender reveals all over social media. It's like, just why is this a thing? I don't know. But like, I don't know when that became a thing in these games. Like, why are we doing it? Why are we doing it?
And isn't it a little bit more impactful theoretically in person? Like if David Fry wants Stephen Kwan to help him out with a gender reveal, which we're already starting from a baseline of like, why? But if he does, like, hey, he drops by the house and he breaks the news. I don't know. Breaking it on national television in a subtle way that doesn't play to anybody but David Fry. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and then even with the Bryce Harper one with the bats, it's very like unceremonious. I feel like it's just like, here you go. Like, here's a bat. And it was just like, oh, okay, that's it. And I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me. And again, I'm just very I don't like fun. We're not allowed to have fun today, so that is my rant.
Yeah, this is an anti-fun pod. And I'm going to go, this is crazy. And I know everyone in the crowd is like, wait, what? Wait, what? Yeah, I'm going to get, I'm anti-Boston Red Sox today. I'm mad at the Boston Red Sox because not for a typical reason, not for on-field play, not for, bravado or John Henry, partially John Henry. I am a collector of memorabilia, of sports cards, and of bobbleheads since childhood. Is it cool to do that? No, absolutely not. I'm absolutely not going to sit here and be like, you know what? I should have been more popular in high school as a bobblehead collector. No, that's not the argument I'm trying to make. These are obviously given out to boost attendance. You cannot give them, you can if you really want to, if you want to be super cool, you can give them to everybody at the game. If you want to just be like, hey, thanks for coming out to the ballpark. We love our fans. Everyone showing up gets a bobblehead.
Pirates.
Yeah, that would be nice, but that never happens. So typically the goal is to get people in the door early, spark concession sales. You want to create demand. So you say, what's my stadium capacity? 40,000. I'll give away 25,000. I'll give away 20,000. Okay, people lined up early. I understand the economics of this. The Boston Red Sox love to tell us they're special and they're a franchise that does things differently. And they're the only franchise that has real baseball. Oh, our fans make noise. Oh yeah, all fans make noise. Red Sox, I understand. We just because you play in an old stadium doesn't mean that you're the only team. So they don't need this fan. Like again, they know that fans are going to attend these games regardless. Like they don't need to give away great promo items to entice Red Sox fans to show up. They're going to show up. What are the Red Sox doing? They're doing a great Ceddanne Rafaela bobblehead next about a week and a half from now, where some of them he's a center fielder, some of them he's a shortstop. Very creative. So you're giving out two separate bobbleheads. How many are you giving out? 7,500. 3,750 of each. That is, I'm sorry, you've taken the cheapness of the collectible and the demand element of all of this way too far. You're not getting that bobblehead unless you're there 4 hours early, lined up. That is an absurdly small number. The number of children who are going to show up at the gate and cry because they did not receive one are incalculable. The limit does not exist. And even the Pittsburgh Pirates, the team that we have raked over the coals for being cheap, just gave away 20,000 Paul Skeens bobbleheads. And yes, they were in need of a PR boost, but still, they looked at the fans who didn't get them and they said, you know what? We're going to make this right. You show us your vouchers. We'll send you a bobblehead. Thanks for being Pirates fans. That baseline that was too low that got them called out was 20,000, 7,500 in Boston. If you're too cheap to print bobblehead dolls, then John Henry, you really are a problem. I should have called you out long ago. I didn't get it until you came for the dolls. Now I understand Red Sox fans have every right to be mad.
And here we thought you weren't going to be ranting about how annoying the Red Sox were today. But no, you're right. Even Bob Nutting, the picture of cheapness, apparently was inspired when he drove by. He was just driving by PNC Park and saw fans lined up across the bridge, down blocks down the street to get these Paul Skeens bobbleheads.
And he
Again,
was like,
20.
what is this, a gender reveal? And they were like, no. it's for your
Yeah,
game."
exactly. But he was like, that's all it took to inspire him was driving by. To which I say, well, isn't that nice? Have you driven by the Pirates 26-man roster anytime recently? Because I think they could use some love there too. But yeah, 7,500. Like, why even do it at that point? Like,
I mean, again, you're trying to create demand. You're going to have 38,000 show up or whatever Fenway's capacity is, 15,000, 20,000. Like it's not hard. Every other team does it. 7,500 is ridiculously restrictive. That's what minor league teams do. Like if the capacity is 12,000, like minor league teams give away like 5,000, 6,000. It's a great collector's item. It works for them because no one can enter their ballpark. I mean, the Sacramento A's should be giving away 5,000, 6,000 this year. But the Boston Red Sox can do better, and they should do better. And maybe if they watch this podcast or listen to it, they will do better. We can only hope. Emma, thank you for joining me today on a Friday. This is available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube again every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday afternoon for the Prospect Show. If you are not subscribed, we would love to see you here more often. Hit subscribe. If you are, you can hit join and become a member. You can subscribe to the Moonshot, get our content via email, or on all podcast platforms. You can subscribe there as well. So many subscription opportunities. So little time. Emma, thank you for joining. Obviously, do you think we can get more than 7,500 subscribers on this to maybe, if we can get this number by end of year above the Red Sox bobblehead number, I think I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, well, and if we don't, then we can just bring our voucher to Bob Nutting and he'll give us the extra subscribers. So we'll be set either way.
Yeah, Bob Nutting, if you have the opportunity to drive by this podcast, I recommend that you do so and let us know how you're thinking and feeling after you see it in action. Emma, thank you again. Joanne, thank you for producing the show. Be back here on Monday, 3:30 Eastern. Robert Murray will join me. We'll go over news and notes from the weekend and his time in the NFL draft, I am sure. The Eagles got a steal somehow again yesterday. I don't know how this keeps happening, but good for them, I say, with a straight face. Until Monday's show, take care, everybody.